What if I told you that the very thing you think is protecting you is what's quietly destroying you? What if the routines you cling to, the distractions you consume, the masks you wear in front of others aren't keeping you safe at all, but instead are the very chains that keep you from becoming who you were meant to be? Pause for a moment. Ask yourself, when was the last time you were brutally honest with yourself? Not polite honesty, not the kind you share with a friend or post online. I mean the kind of honesty that shakes your soul, the kind that terrifies you because it forces you to admit you've been living a half-life. Deep down you know it. You felt it in those quiet hours at night, staring at the ceiling, asking yourself, is this it? Is this really who I am? You feel it in the way your phone never leaves your hand, the way silence makes you uneasy, the way you avoid stillness because stillness means hearing the truth you're not ready for. And here's the truth you don't want to hear. You've been running from yourself. Nietzsche once wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." But here's the tragedy of modernity. Most people have lost their why. We wake up, go to work, scroll, distract ourselves, chase approval, and collapse into bed only to do it all over again. Our days blur into each other, and the deeper purpose, the thing that could set our hearts on fire, never arrives. Why? Because we don't seek it. We don't wrestle with the hard questions. We numb ourselves instead. We tell ourselves stories. I'll figure it out later. I just need to get through this week. Someday, when I have time, I'll focus on what I really want. But someday never comes. And Nietzsche warned us, the danger of modernity is not that life is too painful, but that it is too comfortable, too numbing. That we will trade greatness for convenience, truth for distraction, meaning for comfort. Think about this. Plato described humanity as prisoners in a cave, staring at shadows, mistaking them for reality. That's us. Except our shadows aren't cast on stone walls anymore. They're on glowing screens. Our chains aren't iron. They're dopamine hits, notifications, likes, and the false sense of connection that comes from endless scrolling. You've been trained to prefer shadows over reality, comfort over growth, validation over truth. And here's the uncomfortable part. It's not an accident. Machiavelli once wrote that rulers keep power not by showing people reality, but by giving them illusions that soothe their fears. Now ask yourself, who benefits when you stay distracted? Who gains when you stay weak, divided, and unsure of yourself? It's not just governments or corporations. It's the world you've built for yourself. Every time you avoid discomfort, every time you silence that inner voice that whispers, "You were meant for more," you become your own tyrant. You chain yourself. But let me ask you something more dangerous. What happens when you finally stop running? Imagine for a moment that you stripped away every excuse, every distraction, every mask you wear in front of others. What would you see? The fear that you're not good enough? The anger you've buried for years? The dreams you killed because you were too afraid of failure? Carl Jung believed that the part of ourselves we fear the most, the shadow, is the key to our true power. The side of you you've rejected is the side that holds your strength. Your anger, your shame, your insecurity. These aren't weaknesses. They're untapped energy. But here's the catch. If you don't face them, they'll rule you from the dark. So maybe your endless anxiety isn't random. Maybe it's your soul screaming at you, "Stop pretending, stop hiding, face me." History gives us a cruel reminder of what happens when people avoid truth. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, the German theologian who resisted the Nazis, wrote about cheap grace, the idea of wanting salvation without sacrifice, comfort without courage, truth without responsibility. That's the same poison in our modern lives. We want meaning without pain. We want strength without struggle. We want freedom without risk. But it doesn't work that way. As Bonhoeffer discovered, to live authentically is to risk everything. To stand against what is easy, what is false, what is convenient. And maybe that's why you feel restless, because deep down, you know you've been living on cheap grace. You've been numbing yourself instead of becoming yourself. Let me tell you a story. There was once a soldier who survived battle after battle. When asked how he never broke, he said, "I had already died before I entered the battlefield. I faced death, accepted it, and when the day came, it no longer had power over me." That is the essence of freedom. Not safety, not comfort, but radical acceptance of truth, even the terrifying truth. What if you did the same with your own fears? What if you looked your deepest insecurities in the eye and said, "You no longer control me"? What if you stopped running and finally stood still long enough to hear the voice you've been avoiding all along? Here's the twist. The thing you fear most, failure, rejection, pain, is not the enemy. It's the doorway. It's the only path to the life you secretly dream of but never dare to claim. Nietzsche called this amor fati, the love of one's fate. Not just enduring pain, but embracing it. Not just surviving suffering, but using it to forge yourself into something greater. But most people won't do it. They'll keep scrolling, keep numbing, keep living in the cave of shadows, because truth is heavy and freedom feels like fire. So now the question is for you. Are you willing to burn? Are you willing to lose the comfort that has been killing you? Are you willing to die to who you were so you can be reborn as who you were meant to be? Don't answer too quickly, because the truth is, most won't. Most people will hear this and nod, then return to the shadows. But a few will choose differently. And maybe you're one of them. Maybe tonight, instead of numbing yourself with another scroll, another distraction, you'll sit in the silence. Maybe you'll listen. Maybe you'll finally face the shadow. Because here's the final uncomfortable truth. You don't have forever. Your life is slipping away, hour by hour, scroll by scroll, comfort by comfort. The clock is ticking, and death does not delay for anyone. And when it comes, will you be able to say, "You lived"? Or will you whisper, "Too late, I never became myself"? So I leave you with this. You have a choice: to stay in the cave, staring at shadows until the end, or to walk into the fire of truth, risk everything, and finally become who you were meant to be. The chains are not locked. They never were. The question is, will you take them off?